My dad pulled into the auto shop and he told me, "Stay in the car while I run in and buy window protection for our car. I'll only be 2 minutes." He stepped outside and I sat in the car staring at the hazard lights button with curious eyes. Dad always said, "That's the self-destruct button. If you press it, the car will blow up and kill everyone." I really wanted to try the button because I never believed it. I slowly reached my finger towards it and I felt myself sweating, but I told myself it was just a button and drove my index forward. The button pressed and I immediately closed my eyes, bracing for an explosion, but nothing happened. I sat up grinning because I was right and Dad was wrong, but then the hazard lights clicked on. A steady ticking sound filled the car. Tick, tick, tick. It sounded exactly like the timer Dad always said would be the 30-second countdown before the car exploded. My legs buckled and I realized Dad was right. I had 30 seconds to leave the locked car before I blew up for real. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, but Dad wouldn't answer fast enough. I cried and began banging the windshield, but he was inside the store leisurely browsing the shelves. Other people looked on, but the ticking continued. I looked back and saw Dad's golf club leaning against the back seat. I didn't want to do it, but I grabbed it and mentally apologized to Dad, swinging it as hard as I could into the window. The glass shattered and the car alarm instantly blared, and I jumped through the gap. I sprinted towards the store while Dad ran outside to see why his car alarm was going off. I lunged into him and cried, "I'm so sorry, Dad. I pressed the self-destruct button. The car is gonna blow up." Then I turned to all the people who were staring at us. "My dad's car is gonna blow up. You have to run." They instantly started backing away and calling the police because they'd just seen a child break out a car they thought would explode. My dad stared at his car's blinking hazards lights. Me and my dad pulled into the auto.
Donne l'essence, s'il te plaît, Mélis.
Mais c'est quoi là que t'as
Même si ton t-shirt c'est un peu bronzé, il y a tout.
W stream, man. Thank you guys, bro. Chat, I appreciate you guys so freaking much. Chat, before we hop off,
Good job, babe.
W stream. All right, bro. W stream. Chat, before we hop up, I want to say today's daily verse, man. I just want to give you guys today's daily verse. A big shout out to Jade Real. Big shout out to everybody who came in here to support me. Everybody who just decided to, you know, show love, man. Thank you guys.
Hilfe gerade von Mali. Wir brauchen einen ADAC.
Auto auf
Junge.
der Strecke.
A kupto, se unë kom mirë këtu për qef. A, po më vinte
që shkave kjo po më beron kit me
Ramenez un coup par
Rasti tragjik I cili ka ndodhur dje në Çajër ku një vajzë mitur 16 vjeçare nëpërmjet forcës është tentuar të futet në veturën private. Lasciali quei robot.
Kakvi raboti vaši?
Kakvi raboti, znači nije pokazio.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Hvala sise. Gledam, evo. Ovo je svi hrbas.
personit të cilët rasti tragjik i cili ka ndodhur dje në Çajër, ku një vajzë mbi 6 vjeçare nëpërmjet forcës është tentuar të futet në veturën private të personit të cilët e njihni në foto. Vajza rastin e ka raportuar fillimisht mama e saj, më pas bashkë me prindërit është dërguar në polici ku dhe me një raport nga mjeku të cilën po e shihni, ku dëshmohet se i janë shkaktuar lëndime në dorë.
Zemër, çka po bën?
Zemër, mbyllë tash, marr ma vonë se jam në autobus me burrin tonë.
Aleikum assalam.
Yeah.
I feel like that shit just can't be real though.
Like, it's literally just what's the one on its head, like, what's not to believe in?
It can't be real though. Appreciate the gift, the follow by the way, and the gifts.
I immediately started sweating when I saw my dog running over to my neighbor Susan. She'd hated him for months, and when my dog gently licked Susan's hand, she slapped him hard over his head. He whimpered, and she yelled at me, "Keep him away from me, or I'll call animal control." But then one day, my dog suddenly jolted awake from his sleep. He immediately ran towards her fence and started barking like crazy. I went outside to try stop him, but then I saw Susan's son lying motionless in her garden and blue in the face. I immediately knocked on Susan's window, but she didn't answer. Her kid was now foaming from his mouth, and I pulled out my phone to call 911, but it had no battery. My dog must have realized no help was coming, because he ran into the street and started barking at a moving car. The driver noticed Susan's kid and instantly called 911. I started doing CPR on the kid, and my dog lay down next to him, trying to soothe him. But then Susan stepped outside. Turns out she'd been inside this whole time watching TV and never noticed her son dying in her garden. She ran over and kicked my dog in the ribs to get him away from her son. My dog whimpered hard, and Susan got on the ground, shaking with rage. This was the dog. He must have done something. I'm getting him put down. I replied, "Your son is dying, and you're still seriously giving out about my dog." She went quiet and started holding her son with an angry look. At the hospital, the doctor said another few minutes, and the boy would have been dead. My dog had saved its life. Susan urged the doctors to explain to me that her son's accident was my dog's fault, but they told her, "It happened because you let your allergic son eat dog, your son would be dead." Her face turned red and she stormed out, but I could tell she wasn't done. I came home and Susan gave me an official letter stating she was getting my dog put down. I was terrified and didn't know what to do, but then her son returned from the hospital. My dog ran up to lick his hand, but Susan saw it, winded up her leg to kick him harder than ever. I sprinted to stop her, but then her son put his own foot out to block her. She tripped over him and fell. "I'm sorry, Mom, but that dog did more for me than you ever have. If you put him down, I'll never forgive you." Susan's face went red with embarrassment, and that's when my dog leaned down and started licking her face. It's been a year since, and my dog and the kid are best friends. I immediately
Çka do na me marr gjithë qyshun plash. Pore, nejse për këta e kam shatsin, nuk më vyn. Mas
I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. "Don't react and keep walking. Someone's following you." I suddenly turned around and saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second and he instantly leaned against the wall, trying to seem discreet. The officer told me to stay calm and walk with him. He guided me forward, gripping my arms so tight I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to. I kept glancing back and the man was now closer. That's when he walked through a streetlight and the light shined down on something metallic sticking from his pocket. My whole body went cold. I pressed closer to the officer and told him what I saw. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you home. You're safe with me." But then he started steering us away from the lit up main road and onto a darker sidewalk, almost like he was leading me somewhere specific. That, plus his grip on my arm, made me feel uneasy. But when I turned around, the man was now walking straight at me, holding the metallic object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no choice but to trust the officer. I told him the man was closer, and he looked around, pointing to an alleyway nearby. "This cuts through to the other side of the street. You can call a cab from there." He gripped my arm and pulled me. I was about to just go with it, but then I saw a taxi sitting 50 feet in front of me with its light on. I told the officer I'll. His grip tightened. The man is still too close and the alleyway is safer. He tried pulling me again, but I yanked my arm free and sprinted toward the cab. He reached for me again, but I was too far away. I got in and locked the door, shaking and unsure what to even think. Then 3 weeks later, I was watching the morning news, and my coffee slipped out of my hands. 2 men were arrested for the murder of a woman, the officer who grabbed my arm and the man in the hood. They worked together. The man followed her at night, and the officer lured her into an alleyway under the guise of safety. The woman who trusted the officer never came home to her kids. I was walking alone at night.
Por eso yo le digo así. Por eso yo le digo así.
لا اله الا الله اشهد ان لا اله الا الله شو شوحنا شو صار شو شوحنا ابن كان جزان Notruf Hamburg, aber ich kaufe mir eine Fake-Polizeiweste. Hier auch zum Beispiel auch.
I was walking to third period when I saw Terrence grab some girl by the back of her head and shove her face first into a...
Yaşım geçiyor